So it looks like, based off of all the news and the media attention right now, I know a lot of people may be talking about DeAndre Hopkins, and a lot of people are thinking about DeAndre Hopkins with him getting traded. But one of the more quiet ones that I've been hearing about as of recently has been about running back for the Chargers, Austin Ekeler. Now, Austin Ekeler is a running back that I feel like is not only a top player for fantasy football, but I also believe as well that he is also the kind of guy that's also really good in terms of as a passing, not a passing, but not only just as a rushing running back where he can get you yardage on the ground, but I also feel like he is a systemless running back that's going to do really well for you in terms of whether if you need him in the passing game, whether if you just need him to strictly give you some yardage on the ground, and vice versa. I feel like he's very good that way. So right now, the way that the media is looking at it right now is that Austin Ekeler is looking to get himself, if he cannot get a good contract before OTAs, before summer training starts in the off season, the preseason, like if before like those things happen, he wants to be able to get a contract figured out. If not, then he's gonna want to get it traded. So, what are some particular teams that I feel like could potentially pick up Austin Eckler as their next running back for their team? Well, I got at least 5 different places of where I believe Austin Eckler is going to fit really well in if any of these teams do decide to take him. So, without further ado, everybody, please be sure before we get further, please be sure to drop a like on this video and leave a comment down below. I know I've said this before, I'll say it again. I enjoy doing this, guys. I really do. I enjoy doing it for not only for myself being, but I also enjoy doing it because I love talking about football with you guys, and I love being able to, have real conversations about football, and I like to make sure that my opinion is out there for everybody to be able to listen to. So it's really important to me. And it's also important to me when you like these videos and you comment on them, because that also tells me that maybe I have to make some changes. Maybe I need some more content to really cover on this channel just to help it expand the horizons of it and just be able to explore more about the sport of football. So, like this video, make sure you leave a comment down below, or if you're tuned in live right now, just type in the live chat, and that will definitely help as well. And if you're also this will also come a long way as well. You'll see the little subscribe button. You see the subscribe button? Make sure you hit the subscribe button because that's also going to help you. Not you, or not only me, but it's also going to help this channel grow. And what other better person that you would want to listen to in terms about football and different podcasts and everything than myself? So, I'm not a Colin Coward. I am not a Stephen A. Smith. I'm not any of those guys. I'm me. I'm my own person. But I'm going to give you my honest and truthful opinions on what I think that is going on in the NFL right now. So do the 3 things that I've asked you to do. Like, comment, subscribe. So, without further ado, everybody, let's take a look at the 5 potential teams. The 5 potential teams that I feel like Austin Eckler would fit really well in. So the first team I want to do is the Dallas Cowboys. I feel like the Dallas Cowboys, I know, just recently released Zeke Elliott, which was something that was long overdue, and it's something that the Cowboys had needed for a long time. Now, granted, Tony Pollard is now the next man up, so I think having Tony Pollard in there still is definitely going to help this team out quite a bit in terms of the run game. However, my only question really is about Tony Pollard is, can he step up in that running back role? Like, we've always seen like the comparisons, and we've always made that comparison and that argument that Tony Pollard is better than Zeke Elliott. But where's Tony Pollard going to be moving forward as far as running back number 1? I feel like Austin Eckler might be just that piece that the Cowboys do need in the depth of their offense. They've done a ton of things so far in the offseason to make sure that this team is Super Bowl ready. Like, they fixed up on the offensive line. That's going to be pretty nice for next year. They fixed up on the wide receiver market, so they now have CeeDee Lamb to Michael Gallup and Brandon Cooks. Dak Prescott is still at quarterback, so he should be able to improve going into next year, going into next season. And the defense also picked up some really nice players too, and one in particular that they picked up as of late was Stephon Gilmore as their corner, which is going to be really nice too. So I think the Cowboys are stacked with talent all around. And I think getting that final piece of Austin Ekeler might put them in that position to possibly make themselves like a dark horse in the NFL. And I feel like when Austin Ekeler is in an offense, like what we see with him in the Chargers, I feel like can also help Dak become a better quarterback too. And just kind of force Dak to be that quarterback that can throw in the flat. Like, you know how some quarterbacks like Patrick Mahomes is someone that doesn't really typically like to throw in the flat or do any kind of checkdowns. Dak could probably learn a lot from Austin Eckler and being able to do that because he's good at the checkdowns, he's good at getting the short routage in, and he's a good player in terms of maybe being able to catch a deep ball. He's not like a Derrick Henry where he drops the ball for like if he's only running for like 3 yards. It's not like that at all. And I think if Mike McCarthy can somehow maneuver that offense to Eckler's standings, I think this team could really be threatened to be a dark horse. I think they're right around that corner now where they could be competing with a lot of teams. I don't think the NFC is that competitive whatsoever, besides maybe a couple of teams in their division and outside of that as well, in the somewhere in the conference, like the Niners would be one, and maybe the Lions could be one, especially too. But pretty much other than that, not a lot of teams in the NFC are caliber wise of being able to like go in there and win a Super Bowl. I think the Cowboys are definitely the dark horse that could definitely make it in this year. I think they've made the most improvements, and I think getting Eckler in that final piece of their offense is only going to make them better. So I would say the Cowboys will be at my number 5 for the top 5 landings of Austin Eckler. The next team I feel like would also fit really well in. I don't think they're really going to take them, to be quite honest with you, but just kind of a thought too, is the Jacksonville Jaguars. So the Jags are very similar to what the Cowboys are right now. So they have a lot of veteran wide receivers like in a Christian Kirk and Zay Jones, and they have Evan Ingram at tight end as well. Travis Etienne was nice for them last year too. He had some really nice flashes for the ground game for the Jags. I thought they did a nice job with that. But I also want to kind of see what Austin Eckler can do in the running back position as well. So I feel like with both ETN and Eckler, if they can find a way to, work out some kind of deal, wouldn't be a bad idea if they did trade away Travis Etienne for Austin Eckler and maybe come up with a couple first couple round uh, draft picks within like next season or the year after. Like I feel like the Jaguars, if they can get Eckler into this offense and acclimated in this offense with Doug Peterson, this team, like the Cowboys, could also be a dark horse. Doug Peterson always does a great job with getting his teams prepared and ready to go. We've seen it when he was the coach with the Eagles, and he did it last year too, where the team started out very slow. They were like around, I think they were like probably like 2-6 at one point, and they turned it around and were 9-8 and 4-2 in their division. Like this team is pretty nice. I think they're a nice team. Trevor Lawrence, I think is going to fix up on his mechanics. I think he'll do better, much better in year 3. I think year 3 is going to be probably one of his most successful years. They should also get Calvin Ridley on this team, who was suspended all of last year because of gambling. Another story for another time. They also have Christian Kirk. They got Zay Jones, Evan Ingram. The offensive line, I think last year was not very good whatsoever. It wasn't a great offensive line, but they're more mature now. They're kind of more acclimated into the offense from Peterson, and I think they should be better in year 2 with this offensive line. And getting Eckler, who's been in the league for a couple of years now, he's been in it, I believe, maybe 5, maybe 6 years, something like that. This could be the piece of where Eckler really needs to get himself, a Super Bowl ring, and maybe like the Jags are that team that could potentially get them there because of how much of a dark horse they're considered right now due to talent. So Ekeler going to the Jags, definitely not a bad idea whatsoever. Next, I also like this other team too that is very probably going to be more desperate for a running back out of all the teams that I picked, or at least two of the five teams that I picked. But one of them is the Miami Dolphins, is number three. The Miami Dolphins run game last year has had improved from years prior under Brian Flores, with his run game that was pretty much non-existent. They were able to fix that problem a little bit last year with getting Jeff Wilson and being able to get Raheem Mostert in there as well. But I think most of the questions that I have with them, and not that they did such a bad job, I thought they fit nicely into Mike McDaniel's offense with Miami. But more of my question was more of their health wise, especially with Raheem Mostert. I feel Raheem Mostert has suffered a lot of injuries during his time with San Fran. He also had a couple of injuries as of last year with Miami, and this year going into like the run game kind of improved a little bit, but at the same time not as much. I think Ekeler provides a lot for Tua and this Miami offense. I mean, do you take a look at Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle? I've said this before. I'll say it again. They're the two fastest wide receivers in the NFL right now. No question about it. I think you need to get someone like an Austin Ekeler in your running back position because you also need another piece of your offense that's going to be able to make some big time catches. And I think if this is like a team that wants to focus more on the passing rather than just running, Austin Ekeler is that person that you can really rely on in terms of uh, the passing game goes. Now, if you want to improve on the ground game, you already have done that if you get Ekeler in a trade. So I think getting Austin Ekeler into this offense, I think is going to make this team even more scarier. I mean, you have a loaded wide receiver range already as it is. You have two of the best wide receivers in the National Football League right now, or at least the two fastest ones. You've also are getting an offensive line that hopefully, knock on wood, hopefully will get better into next year. Hopefully, Tua, hopefully he will also stay healthy too. That's also a really big one too. We need to make sure that he stays healthy. And then you've also got, you need to also be prepared for a backup quarterback. Teddy Bridgewater is a free agent. He was released, so they signed Mike White. So we have to hope and make sure that Mike White can step into that role if he needs to. So Austin Ekeler fits nice. I think this is something that I would consider via Miami. I would definitely give the Chargers a call and work out some kind of trade deal for Austin Ekeler because I feel like if they can get him acclimated into the running game, you'll already improve your running game as it is, but you'll also acclimate him in terms of the passing game too. Because if you want to improve and really expand your horizons and not, always depend on a Tyreek Hill or Jalen Waddle, Eckler is that person that is very, very reliable. So, and I think Miami is at least a year or two away from being like the top dog in the NFL. Like right now, they may not be able to compete with teams like the Chiefs, the Bills, the Bengals, now maybe even the Ravens, probably. Like, this is a team that probably could put up some numbers with them, maybe beat at least two of those teams. We've seen them beat the Ravens. They could probably beat the Chiefs too. Very well possible. But at the same time, too, they're at least a year or two away from like really making that big noise in the AFC side of the NFL. So I think getting Eckler to start into this offense and acclimate him into what you want him to do is going to be your best bet. Your next one at number 2 for your landing spot here for Austin Eckler is the Cincinnati Bengals. So I know a lot of people are saying they already have Joe Mixon. Okay, that's great. I think Joe Mixon is a great running back for a lot of different reasons. But Joe Mixon in recent days, if you haven't been reading up on him lately, he has been getting into a lot of legal trouble in terms of the news media of what they've been saying. Before he was drafted in the NFL, he hit a girl I think it was like at some restaurant while he was in college and was suspended 1 year. or I think it was the full year or half the year or something like that, vice versa. I can't remember. And now, as of recently, of what he did, it was right before one of their playoff games, is that he was pointing a gun at a woman. So that is something that they a lot of news media and people have been really looking up on in terms of like him. So I think this is, if you're Cincinnati, I think you look to move on from Joe Mixon. You're either looking to trade him away or you're looking to release him. And then if you do release him, I would probably start looking for some trade deal, some kind of deal that you can get for Austin Ekeler. Because I feel like with the limitation of the distraction for the legal drama, and then you get someone like Austin Ekeler, who's a nice, quiet guy who's been around the league for a little bit and has a ton of experience in different offenses during his time with the Chargers. I feel like would also benefit him as well. I really do, and I think this is a team. Obviously, they're probably going to be a poised team to win a Super Bowl next year, and I think if you get that last piece on offense, you're pretty much set. So you can have that reliability of not only Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Tyler Boyd, and I believe Irv Smith is also there too at tight end because they just recently traded away Hayden Hurst. So if they get Austin Ekeler in there too, not only are they going to improve on the ground game too, because the ground game was okay last year. It wasn't terrible, but there was definitely a lot of things that they could have done a lot better in terms of the run game. So if you get Austin Ekeler to come in and do really well with this offense, I think he fits in really well with Joe Burrow. I think he works well with Joe Burrow and the wide receivers, and I think with a offensive line that's going to improve next year, I don't think the Bengals are a bad idea for Ekeler. And if I was the GM of Cincinnati, I'm giving the Chargers a call. I'm working out something so that way I can get this guy, because I think he could be just the final piece. Besides the defensive side of things, where they lost two of their best safeties, of Von Bell and Jesse Bates, they're also gaining something out of it too. So I think they're maybe just this one little piece away on offense to making a Super Bowl run going into next year. Then lastly, the number one team. I've been saying this probably since I've heard about Austin Ekeler wanting to get traded. And the team that I think is probably going to want to use him the most, the team that's probably the most desperate out of any team in the NFL, and that team is the Buffalo Bills. So a lot of people, including myself, have said in recent years and recent days that the Buffalo Bills are always at least a Super Bowl contender because of the man himself, Josh Allen. So the Bills, a lot of times, as we saw last year, they love to play. They love to play that offensive weapons of Stephon Diggs. Gabe Davis is also in there, and Dawson Knox too. Stephon Diggs was really the more productive receiver out of any of those other receivers that I named from last year, like a Gabe Davis. Jamison Crowder was also part of this team too. Isaiah McKenzie, a special teams guy, but was getting a lot of offensive snaps. Tight end with Dawson Knox, that was kind of a quiet guy last year. Devin Singletary picked up on it a little bit and was able to kind of separate between Diggs and Gabe Davis, kind of giving them a little bit of a rest to be able to run the ball. But now Devin Singletary is traded to Houston. So this team is relying on Damian Harris, who's, by the way, not always the most healthiest running back. So I already have some concerns right there. And they also have, I believe they also still have James Cook, if I'm not mistaken. So they got two running backs that are not very trustworthy, especially James Cook is not trustworthy yet. I say you get Austin Ekeler. And I'm not saying that to put anybody down. I'm not saying that because I want to trash on any of the other running backs or anything. But I feel like if you get Austin Ekeler into this offense, we know the Bills refuse to run the ball. For whatever reason, the Bills just never like to run the ball. They always like to give most of the pressure on Josh Allen. Now, Josh Allen, my favorite quarterback in this league. However, he is prone to getting hurt at some point in his career. And I am very concerned that he could potentially turn into someone like Cam Newton someday, where he can't throw for more than 10 yards down the field. So I do concerned about how much Josh Allen runs. I am concerned about his health. I understand he's a big guy and can take a lot of hits, but at some point he is going to get older. At some point his body's going to wear down, and there's going to be a lot of injuries that come within his time. So I do fear with the amount of times that he rushes and the amount of times that he does get hit and take some really, really brutal hits. And I think if you rely on Austin Ekeler, we know how good he is on the ground. He gets a big separation. If he's finding an open part of the field, he's going to run through it and getting you some yardage. And if you can't run the ball at the time too, he's a guy that can also catch too. So the Bills are not really going to be losing anything in terms of that. Like, they can get a running back that can play both wide receiver and running back. Like, that is going to work into their offense. I think Sean McDermott would be able to go for this. I would definitely make the move to make an Austin Ekeler move. Now, do I think the Bills are probably close to a Super Bowl win? I would love to say yes, because I think if there's any other team in the NFL that deserves to win a Super Bowl, it's the Buffalo Bills. And a lot of it is because they're 0-4. They lost 4 straight times when they were in back in the late 80s, early 90s. So I truly want them to win at least a Super Bowl at some point in this decade. And I think they really should do that before Josh Allen gets too old. So I think getting Austin Ekeler is going to help a lot. I think it helps out the offense and also gives Allen a break from rushing so much. And that's the concerns that bring up to me about that. And if you look on the defensive side of the Bills too, with Von Miller coming back too, he's a little bit older now, so and he's more injury prone after his injury from last year. So got to really consider that part of it. So their defense is pretty banged up still. I think they have a lot of their veteran players that are back, but they're getting older. They're coming back from injury, and they're going to take some time to really rebuild on the defense. I think we're going to be seeing a big step back from the defense next year. That I think the Bills and Josh Allen are going to heavily be relying on winning shootout games. And I think if you get that other piece that the Bills definitely need besides wide receiver, they also need to get this running back right. And I think Austin Ekeler is that person that needs to help the Bills out and bail them out of a lot of these shootout games, because it can't always be Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs doing everything. There's got to be more production with the wide receivers. There's got to be more production of what's going on the field. And there has to be improvements made. So, signing Austin Ekeler, getting him a contract deal with the Buffalo Bills is something that is going to be definitely needed. And with all that being said, everybody, that is my conclusion of the top 5 landing spots for Austin Ekeler, the Chargers running back. Hope everybody enjoyed their time. Before we start signing off, please be sure to drop a like on this video and leave a comment down below. I know I tell you guys this all the time. I will tell you once and I will tell you again. I love doing these. I really, really do. So, being able to give my ideas out there as far as different landing spots for different players, being able to talk about different games and being able to talk about different teams and talk about the offseason. These are things I want to be starting to talk about with you guys. It's really, really important to me. But I can't do anything more unless you guys helping me out. So if you just please put a like on this video, leave a comment down below, or if we're still live here at this point, you can also comment on the live chat too. And I can definitely help you out the best way possible. And hopefully this will help the channel grow too with your suggestions and your ideas. You're not only just helping me out, but you're also helping yourselves out, and you're helping the sport of football and the podcast grow to be bigger and better than what it is already. And also, if you can also do me a big solid too, not just with liking this video, not just with commenting, but I also want you to please hit that subscribe button down below when you are reviewing this video as well. Because when you hit the subscribe button, you guys are also helping me improve this channel, and you're helping me get this channel out there. So the more subscribers that I get, the better, the bigger and better that the channel is going to grow each and every day. And with all that being said, everybody, thanks again for tuning in. Really means a lot. I know we only have one person on tonight, but anybody can always look back at this as a replay at any time, so it will still be posted in the archives. we'll see you all next time. I should be going on tomorrow night or at least this weekend, and I will give you all my top 5 landings for where I think the next player that a lot of people want to be talking about is DeAndre Hopkins, who is requesting a trade from the Arizona Cardinals. I will give you at least 5 of my top 5 picks of where I think DeAndre Hopkins should go. So this is your boy JP Football Fanatics signing off, saying see you later all. See you later all. Sorry. See you all later. Have a good night.